Well, I think the student years, university years, are the age when people come of age, come of consciousness. That's the time when people realize what values matter to them, what they stand for, what they believe in. It's also an age when you're impatient to see change, and activism is often the only way to bring about change. So all of that makes student politics an appropriate activity for students and a useful outlet for their desire to have an impact on the world and change the world. So for that reason, I am in favor of student politics myself, but at the same time, it's important not to lose sight of the basic fact that we are in university to study, and that a student's principal job is to study, and we need to find a balance between devoting the time required to study and seeing student activism and student politics as a necessary adjunct, like an extracurricular activity, just as some will swim or play tennis or row or go for quiz contests or debate contests or act in plays. Some may choose to actually manifest their enthusiasms through student activism and student politics. As long as you don't do it to the expense of why you're basically at university, then I think it's certainly worth doing, and I encourage students to do it.
Sir, one question, sir. Since we are a student media body and, sir, we are sort of focused on covering events, sir. Sir, also drawing a parallel today, sir, journalism is often questioned in today's world, and media is at a point where yellow journalism is a factor which is there in this kind of world. So, how do you think that media should change, or media can play a role in evolving and removing that necessary tag of yellow journalism and evolving as a medium which could actually contribute to the development of the society?
Well, I think if the journalists were serious about their profession, they wouldn't have the kind of yellow journalism we have in India today, sadly. The problem is that a lot of journalism has become about the bottom line, and so the chase for TRPs on television or the breaking news headlines unfortunately trumps the obligation to play a role in society by exposing wrongdoing in a constructive way, by telling stories that improve the lives of leaders, that enhance democratic accountability, and so on. It all becomes voyeurism, gossip, sensationalism, and headline snatching. And unfortunately, the bad has crowded out the good. The vast majority of our news programs tend to be of the yellow journalism nature, largely because that's what they've persuaded themselves the public wants. And I suppose the TRP ratings do suggest that they get more eyeballs than the more responsible channels do. There's a sad story in English language television media of what happened with NewsX, which was the one decent, responsible news channel, or one of the very few, at a time when Times Now and the rest were leading a race to the bottom, really literally bottom feeding. At the same time in the ratings, it was the bottom feeders who were at the top of the heap. So eventually, NewsX became an imitation wannabe Times Now, abandoning all the values that had made it a channel worth admiring in the first place. These are the kinds of things one sees more and more, sadly, in our media. There seems to be very little serious journalism education, where basics you learn in the West, like the importance of separating fact from speculation, the importance of keeping opinion and reporting apart, the importance of ensuring that gossip and innuendo don't get mixed up with what is supposed to be straightforward reportage. All of those things are just completely ignored in our media today, and even the print media, which used to be the refuge, now seems to be following the bad practices of television media, because I suppose the print editors know that their readers have already been watching TV the previous day. So, I'm in a bit of state of despair about the state of the media. I used to be a huge fan of the media. My dad worked for the media. I grew up with newsprint in my veins. I used to read multiple newspapers a day. I've written for the print media in India since I was a child. In fact, my first article appeared when I was 10 years old. I kept writing ever since. So for me, I say this with a lot of pain, a lot of regret. It's very sad to see what's happened to our media. But there are honourable exceptions, and the hope is that those exceptions will survive and gain in strength as our society and I hope our journalism also matures.
And so lastly, one last message for our university and students who read us and follow our channel, one last message for them.
Keep reading, keep writing, and above all, keep thinking. And think why you're doing what